Welcome back to the Community Builders podcast, the podcast where we believe that community building and personal brand are the best business models for your soul. Today we have somebody who has some parallels to my story. He's British. He's moved to Spain, but sadly, I found out recently that he's actually leaving Spain very soon. On top of that, he's also got one of the most provocatively named communities. Well, maybe you could say provocatively, maybe not. It's actually kind of like it is, but it isn't. But we'll get into that a little bit later. That I've ever heard. It's called No Sex Gay Weekend. Chris, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm very well.
Provocative. I think it's so funny. Provocative. It's like anti-provocative.
Yeah. As I was saying that, it's actually, yeah, because I mean, so for people who are listening, Chris is in my Community Builders cohort, the first cohort. And so we've had a couple of conversations not recorded before. So we've kind of touched on this before. And yeah, it's No Sex Gay Weekend. So really it's kind of like, it's not provocative at all. But I think the fact that it has sex and gay in the name, I guess it just sends people crazy.
It sends Google and financial institutions and insurance companies doolally. They simply cannot deal with the word sex, even if it has no in front of it. So I do understand.
It's absolutely crazy. Okay, so in that case, I know I've given you a little introduction, but it would be great if I think that who better to introduce yourself than the man himself.
My
right?
mum.
Yeah,
No, I'll do it.
exactly. Yeah, if you could give us a little intro on yourself. Firstly, let's start with yourself, and then we'll go into NSGW. For those listening as well, NSGW is the acronym we use for No Sex Gay Weekend. I mean, it's not even that much easier to say, to be honest. But that's what I've realised that you.
I like it because it sounds like NSFW, and I think that's really cool.
For work. Wait, is that it?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, not safe for work. And then I think that's very funny. It's just one letter, and literally on the keyboard, it's next to each other as well.
I think that's why it throws people off as well, because you see NSGW, and yeah, exactly. I think that just the acronym itself throws people off too. But anyway, can you give us a little intro on yourself first?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Chris. Hello. I started social media about a year and a half ago under the handle Chris in Madrid, which sadly is probably going to have to change because I will not be in Madrid very, very much longer. As of this recording, 3.5 more weeks. So estoy llorando, but I'll be back to the UK and across the world, I hope. Is still exploring and having adventures. But I've been in Madrid like a year and a half, exploring the world. I was in London for 10 years before that. I was a fail actor. But if any casting directors are watching, I can still ruin your show for you as you want, if you want that. And but I moved to Madrid because I was really, really sick of life there. Felt it was just not working for me, basically. And since I've been here, it's been challenging in its own ways, but overall, it's just been the most incredible journey. I feel like I've really come out of it with a lot to gain. So if you ever feel stuck in life, I do feel like just chucking yourself out of your comfort zone into a very deep pond can be something that can really help. And then I started No Sex Gay Weekend about 8 months ago because I was on a gay holiday that I'd been to the previous year, and I'd had a holiday romance, and it was so sweet and cute. I had my friends, and then I went again, and it was all cruising and grinder and dick and ass and whatever. Not even that I was involved in it, but it was just like the general atmosphere. And I was just like, why as a gay guy do I choose to spend my money to come to a specifically gay location when I could spend it anywhere? And I end up just feeling like rubbish about myself, like a piece of meat, or treating other people like a piece of meat. And people are sort of unfriendly because it's all about how you look or the like 30 seconds that you're together in bed or whatever, not even in bed. And so I just wrote down things that made me happy and things that didn't. And eventually I wrote down No Sex Gay Weekend. And it is just a weekend. And the whole point is that you meet as a gay guy. And I think it's very specific to gay guys. I hope. But it just allows you to come together, pun not intended, and meet each other without an ulterior motive, without the pressure, really get to know each other. And people come away with friends, they come away with dates, they come away feeling good about themselves, they come away having had a great time, and sort of resetting the relationship with how we might engage with each other as gay guys. That's
Yeah.
my story.
No, I love it. I love it. And honestly, like when I first heard about No Sex Gay Weekend, when you first signed up for the first cohort, I really thought, and I still do think now, that your community has easily got like one of the highest potential, because it really feels to me like it's unique, and it feels like from the way you describe it, I can see the pain point is there, and it's doing something that's kind of going maybe slightly against the grain, or it's trying to change the behavior, the like kind of the modus operandi sort of thing, or the status quo. And I think when you have a brand that tries to do that and in such an authentic way, I just think there's so much room for expansion. There's so much room for people to connect with it. I think your main challenge is probably just getting that message in front of enough people, rather than like it's like finding product market fit, right? Like I feel like you know the mission of your community. You know the mission of what you're trying to do, and to me, when you describe it, it sounds crystal clear. It comes from a personal story to you. It comes from a place of personal need, and now it's just okay. How do you get that message, and how do you share that message in front of as many people as possible? Because I think that if you can do that, I think anyway, it will resonate.
Thanks, Tom. I
Yeah,
think you're right. And, some people do take against it. And I think there's room for misinterpretation. It's not about like making people feel shame about sex in any way. I mean, it's literally a weekend and that stuff all exists. But rather, I think I probably need to work on making this clearer or just re-emphasizing it again and
yeah,
again. It's that it's not coming to a weekend to not have sex. And that's the point of it, like some sort of like moment for that, but it's rather to replace that with quality connection and let that happen. And then sex and other kinds of connection can happen after. But it's like, it's a positive replacement or an effort just to try and do it in that
yeah.
time. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's super, super cool. Um, and in fact, we spoke about this before off camera as well, but uh, we have the same issues with Guiris, because we call it Guiris de mierda. And one of the main questions it's all about the problems that we run into are all about the messaging or the questions that people assume based off the name. And so Guiris de
Mhm.
mierda, we get questions all the time. But I'm Spanish. Can Spanish people come to your events? Um, if I'm not a giddy, if I'm not a traditional giddy, can I still come to your events? All this sort of stuff. And I think it's just that's a part of the brand building. You know what I mean? If you're going to choose a name that's kind of divisive, there's benefits to it, because it's shocking
Yes.
and people will either identify with it strongly or against it strongly, and people will remember it, for example, as well. But then the downside are things like this, where because it is divisive in its very, very nature, then you're
Mhm.
also on the flip side, you're going to have people that are confused by it as well, or maybe don't understand, or make assumptions that aren't necessarily right, because by having a name like that, you're invoking emotion, and people kind of become reactive based off that.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
but
true.
but let's go back a little bit, because we went a little bit further ahead. So, in all my hours, my hours of research in front of the computer, doing my my deep research on Chris, no last name, uh,
Don't
I,
bait them.
I
Take that
saw.
out. Don't give them that little tidbit. Don't give them mystery.
Okay, bleep it. We'll bleep it.
Don't want it. No, listen, I talked to a guy
Yeah.
who he's an influencer
Uh huh.
and he's gay and he had this woman stalking him and she found dick pics and sent them to his mum on his birthday
Oh my god.
in a birthday card. I
Oh
don't want that.
god. That's insane.
It's so mad. Obviously, most people are normal, but some people are psycho.
Yeah, yeah. I've never been that careful at all when it comes to posting online. I've always posted out my window. I posted my front door sometimes. As I every time I did, people would always tell me, "Tom, you should be a bit more careful about that." But I always kind of have the faith in humanity that no one's going to be super
Don't have
weird.
it.
No, but
Don't
yeah,
have
you,
it.
you shouldn't. You shouldn't at the end of the day, because people will disappoint you, especially when you're putting your whole life out there on the internet. There's always going
Mm.
to be people that are out there to with nefarious motivations, or that are just a bit strange, like this woman. Like, what did she get out of that?
She was in love with him, apparently, but it's a very strange expression of love.
Yeah, that's very, very strange.
2% of people are sociopaths, Tom.
2% of people are sociopaths.
Hmm.
But the different sociopath is someone that's became that way from the experiences they've had, and opposed to a psychopath who is that way, born that way, right?
I don't know. but it doesn't really matter. It's still 2%.
Yeah, the outcome is the same. Yeah, 2% is quite a lot, to be fair. Get 100
Yeah.
people. Well, that means that every one of our Giddies and Miata parties,
Yeah.
there's at least, if we have an event with 100 people on a rooftop, there's 2 sociopaths there. Well, I'm one of them, so there's always at least one. But no, let's go back. So as I was saying, so with all of my deep research, I found,
Yeah.
Claude found, I'll give the credit where credit's due. I heard that you went to a mime school. Is this true?
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, I need to know the story about this. I know it's not really related, but I just saw that and I was like, I need to know.
Yeah, of course, because you think, why is Chris not spending his time miming the
Yeah.
entire time with that education? I'm going to express this in mine. Now, I'm going to say
Audio listeners.
I did French and Latin and Greek actually at university and had a year abroad. And so you can't really go and study abroad in Latin. So I had to do it in French. And well, I wanted to be an actor. So there's this physical theatre school in Paris called Le Coq. It's actually moved now. Ha! Hilarious. Who knows? This weekend it's called Le Coq. L'École
Yeah.
Internationale de Théâtre Jacques Lecoq. And it was great. I met my best friend there. And it was a great education in like, it was very like devising and learned a lot about like the fundamentals and mechanics of theatre. And then it was also about like mime and stuff like that. So, and some acrobatics. And on my sort of last month, I was able to do a somersault. So that was pretty cool. And yeah, so that was it. I trained in that.
Okay, and then, but this was, I'm confused. So this wasn't actually to do with the degree itself. It was just kind of like a
Well, it was in French, and I was living in Paris. It was meant to be like that you would learn French by immersing yourself in the culture there, and you could do anything. So I chose to do that.
Okay, and so then after that, going back into that was just a bit of a tangent. So I just had to know the answer to that, and so that was the tangent, and then you went back to London to finish your degree, I assume, and that's where you spent the next 10 years, as you said earlier.
I didn't go to university in London, but I finished my degree, came back, and then I did a master's in acting actually as well, because obviously 1 year wasn't enough. So I did another year and I acted for like 5 years and did some work, had some near hits, like, got into a company which was it was like auditioned and it was going to have like transatlantic productions and it was with a very famous it was run by a very famous actor. But unfortunately, in the context of it, it was run by Kevin Spacey and it was like a month before Me Too. And so it all like halted. And quite a lot of stuff happened like that with acting. It's just, I just realized that it's so contact based and there are so many people who want to do it. And I was 29 and I just felt like I was wasting my life with zero to show for like any of my efforts at all. Like everyone has potential. I had my own potential and I felt like I was literally not doing anything with it and begging people for work. And it's, I couldn't bear it. And then COVID happened. And just before COVID, I managed to get a job in sales. So I did that and that was such lucky timing. Carried on with that, got to like 4 or 5 years, I can't remember exactly what it was. And I was just quite an unhappy house share in London. They were going to raise my rent by £300 to live in Peckham, which I wasn't particularly happy with. And my cousin lives in Madrid. I used to visit him. He used to come and have a really amazing time. And then I would go back to Peckham with whatever. And then it would be raining. I'd go on a run and I'd be outside Tesco at the end and someone would spit on my shoe. And then I'd see an advert on the bus stop for literally Madrid. And I thought, well, this is unbelievable. So I made some adjustments. I'm lucky to be half Irish, so it's quite easy. It was quite easy to move. And have taken a time in Madrid to heal from 10 years in London.
I love that, and I can definitely relate to the London thing. I'll come on to that next. But the first thing, you were saying that you feel like you were wasting your potential. I don't know if there's a lesson in there, if for you at least, but for me, I've felt like since kind of creating Guiri Mierda and doing my own and having my own personal brand and that sort of stuff, I feel like in a lot of ways what I do now everything that I've done before has helped it in some way. So there were jobs that I've had in the past where I felt the same way. I was like teaching kids when I first moved to Spain. I was teaching kids. I was a monitor de English. I was like going to the north to the mountains in the north of Madrid in the Sierras, and I was literally teaching outside, singing songs, all this sort of stuff, going on hikes, leading groups, and
Mhm.
that's one thing. But and I've had lots of jobs like this in my life. Like when I was in Australia, for example, I used to work in a hostel. I was checking people in, and I was leading them out for the big night out where we take out all the hostel people and we'd like do the drinking games and all that sort of stuff. And I think
Yeah.
back now, I'm like, wow, so many of these things I just pull from now, like the hostel stuff. That obviously lends itself to like talking to a lot of people, entertaining a lot of people at once. Um,
Mhm.
Kids as well with the activities, with the icebreakers that we do now. It's almost pulled not directly, but there's so many overlapping things. And then even into my more recent experience of UX design. So I was a UX designer before I started creating content properly. That's actually how I started creating content, and I pulled that straight into everything that I do now. When we like user research, making our the Giddy Network app, which we just launched. All this stuff is like it accumulates, and I think that the lesson is you might feel like you're wasting your potential, and fair enough, that's a signal to pivot for sure. I think that's a good signal to pivot, but it doesn't mean that you've actually wasted that time. I don't know if you feel the same way. If you do feel like you're bringing that experience forward now, because I've seen your videos, and as someone who you're very charismatic, you've got a lot of presence when you speak to the camera. Not everyone has that, you know, and I feel like that could be partially from the acting experience.
100%. Like, I don't think it's. I don't regret the past. I mean, I could have been a banker. I could have been a barrister. I think that would have been an easier choice in many ways. Could have been a doctor, whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that sort of there's an opportunity cost to whatever choices we make. But we only know what we know at the time. And when I was 19, 18, I wanted to be an actor. But I also had an opportunity to go to university and like a good one and study and enjoy that. I mean, who gets to gallivant and do French and Latin? I mean, what a waste of everyone's time in the end. Like, I don't live in France now. I don't speak French ever, but it has helped me learn Spanish for sure and
Good
has
part.
given me a massive head start with Spanish. So I made this board game popularity. I also did like social stuff before hosting. Started making a murder mystery, which came out of directing into murder mystery, trying to make that accessible, which then turned into like quizzes, live quizzes, which then turned into a game version of that, which then turned into a diff board game popularity, which I might make into like a Jackbox style TV game if I think about it. So these things definitely like thread along, but like I guess the difference is that there are lessons to be learnt,
Yeah.
and then there's also um, wasted input that doesn't lead to output. And that's what I'm really sick of. It's that when you put loads of effort in
Okay.
without thinking about what the output is, that like all of that stuff is passive learning. You get it, but it wasn't the intention of it. I didn't make this like to passively learn things. I made it because I wanted people to play it.
Mhm.
And the fact that it hasn't taken off is a learning, but it wasn't the intention. And so as I've got older and I have lots of pressures on my time, I want the effort that I put in now to have an impact on people. And that's something that I found with No Sex Gay Weekend is that I was always trying to do like bringing people together because I think it's really important. I think it's very hard. Thank you for your compliment about charisma and stuff. I am lucky because of my training and maybe my personality to have that.
Mhm.
And but I sometimes feel very awkward in social situations, mostly when I think I'm with dickheads.
Mhm.
And uh, it's not like a get out of jail free card to be extroverted because it really does depend on the situation. And my point is, the work I was doing around quizzes and bringing people together didn't have an audience. So now with No Sex Gay Weekend, it's married the intention and what it is with the audience that wants it. And I
Mhm.
think that's really what makes things worth it for me anyway. It's not about money. So it's nice, but it's really about like, if you're going to put the effort in, well, what's the point of doing it if no one comes
Mhm.
or no one really wants what you're doing anyway? So
Yeah.
that's what I've trying to really focus in on with my time more recently.
Yeah, I agree with that sort of stuff too, and I can relate to that when it comes to even the community builders cohort and stuff that I'm launching now. I'm really trying my very hardest to kind of work backwards in the terms of find the audience first or advertise the thing first, and if you have an audience for it, sell it, then build it, rather than do it all the other way around. Um,
Yeah.
I'm speaking to my housemate right now, so I've just moved in, I've just changed my house, and he's also called Chris, and he does content online as well, and we were kind of brainstorming what he should like because he also has an online, you could say it's a community as well. He teaches English online basically, and he takes his
Mm.
following and he tries to convert those people into his online weekly classes. And I was asking him to explain to me, oh, what is it? And he was saying, oh, well, it's kind of like group classes, but it's kind of like a little community. It's like an English hangout and that sort of stuff. But he's like, I'm not really sure if it's like going the way I want it to go. And so we started brainstorming ideas of okay, how can he test ideas to actually make sure that he's got an audience that would buy those ideas rather than making the course, building it all first, then going to sell it and just hoping that it's going to sell. I was like, he's got an email list. I was like, look, split your email list in half, create the
Mm.
landing page or create the offer for both offers. And I think the idea is going to be one really low price point, but the idea is to go scale and to get as many people in as possible. And it's like reoccurring, but very low price point, like price of a coffee, English lessons a couple of weeks, that sort of stuff, and just get lots of big seminar kind of style things. And whatever the other one
Mm.
was, I can't really remember. But I said split the email list in half, A/B test the messaging, see who converts most, or see which one works, which one resonates with most people, and then all you have to do is refund the other half and say, hey guys, this was like a pre-sale. Say up front it's a pre-sale, this is the pre-sale price, refund the first half, like this is a pre-sale but we're going ahead with this instead. If you like the idea of this, then boom, you're in. And then at least you've proven that you've got people that are willing to convert on your new idea. And I think that kind of loops back into what you were saying a little bit. It's like, although you were saying it's not all about money, I think if you want to apply that to launching a product or something, there's also it's also a really valuable skill or a valuable lesson that I've learned over the past 12 months, because I've definitely been in that situation as well where I built things that nobody
Mm.
wants.
Yeah.
And then
Nice. I'm going to come to one of your events before I go, by the way.
you've
I'm
got to
going to come to your rooftop one. I want to come to that one.
okay,
I saw
okay.
your
Yeah,
email.
you have to come.
I'm going to book on.
Yeah, don't book. It's my leaving gift to you. You can come. So just let me know. Yeah, it was my leaving gift. And then also I was going to looping back as well, because you touched on a point that I think that people that listen to this will probably resonate with as well. It's the living in London feeling and kind of like the idealizing Spain thing too. I've definitely had a similar feeling. I was living in the UK for a year after I'd already been living in Spain actually. And as soon as I moved to the UK, I felt like, wow, I've just made a massive mistake leaving Spain. And so I spent the next year, almost 2 years, trying to figure out a way to get back to Spain. It's not as easy for me because I don't have an Irish passport. But what were you feeling at the time? Like, why were you feeling? You said you went through a difficult time in London. Was it all related
Mm.
to your career, or what left you in that point where you were like, I need to get out?
Mm, I really feel like what's really important to me now is that, you know, we can't make things happen, but as much as possible to have life on my terms,
Mm,
like the way that I want to live, basically.
love that.
And I hope that that's a good way. But I really felt like it was a bad relationship I was in London. I was giving a lot and getting nothing. I think I just got made redundant actually just before. I was in sales and I was just started making commission. And then this job was like you would do a sale and then 8 months later, like because of the cycle, it would start making money. So I
Mm,
put all this effort in. And then just when I started making money, they cut me and then they carried on making all the money from the companies that I brought in.
that's
So
not
I didn't like that. And I was living in this house in Peckham, which some people love Peckham. I really hate it. And it was like 45 minutes cycle into town. I think what's the point of living here? It was really expensive. Didn't really get on with my housemate, and who is a great cut that out. He's a great guy. And uh, I was quite ill. I think it was just making me quite ill. I got like sciatica and I was all my dating, I got into this pattern where like I would meet someone and then we would go quite well. And then they'd be like, I've met someone else who I really like. So sorry. And that would happen like again and again and again. And so nothing was happening with the acting. It just felt thankless, and it was taking everything out of me, and it was very transactional. And I also had recently had this comparison, which was with Madrid. And I'm sure you've had similar experiences of moving to Madrid. I mean, you can have the ideal, and then there's the reality. But there was nothing to lose really by moving. But I felt like there was a lot I felt like I was a colander in London, and like all of my energy and health and hopes and dreams were being sucked out in this place where I have some very good friends, but I was literally it was making me ill, I think.
Mhm. Yeah, well, I think that it's
And I think it's good, by the way, going back, having been here, I have a new appreciation for home.
okay.
And I really like visiting London. And when I went recently, everyone was in a good mood because it was sunny for once. And
Yeah.
it was really nice. And it's like there's an enormous amount to be said for London and the UK. And I'm moving back, and I'm really excited about it. I might regret it, but at the moment I'm feeling really good about it.
Okay.
Um, but I think nothing is forever. And I think I've given myself permission, because it was only of a temporary stay that I just extended a bit in Spain. Like, if you give yourself permission to just take a chance, and it doesn't have to be this like massive thing, it doesn't have to be this like forever move. You can just see. And then, like, if I move back to the UK and I find myself like missing Spain, well, I'll just move back.
Mhm.
And it doesn't have to be the biggest deal in the world as well.
Yeah, I think that's also a great lesson for maybe people listening as well. It's like oftentimes people put huge pressures on themselves to make the right decision, and the
Yeah.
reality is that for me, I think the more important thing is to make a decision instead of
Hmm.
staying in that limbo phase of, oh, should I do this? Should I do that? And then before you know it, 2 years have gone by and nothing's changed. That's what they say, right? If nothing changes, then nothing changes. And I think as long as you make a decision, you can always go back. There's very few decisions in life that you can't
Yeah.
just hit the oh, okay, I'm gonna go back on that, or I'm gonna move back, or I've quit my job. Okay, well let's maybe it was a mistake to quit that job, but I can always get a new job. There's very few decisions that are permanently gonna fuck your life forever.
Yeah.
So I think it's that's the
It is important to plan. It is important to plan and do things properly. But like the the idea that you're going to lose everything by changing
yeah.
also forgets that you might gain a lot by changing,
Mhm.
because we're so driven. Like, it's so easy to be driven by fear of loss, fear of not, but like, you know, give it a go.
When it's funny you say that it's important to plan. So when I did my skateboard journey, do you know that I did the skateboard journey through Spain a couple of years back?
Yeah.
So when I did my skateboard journey, people always ask me what was the main lesson that I learned from that journey, and I learned there's obviously like a few things. I was by myself for 55 days, and there was a lot of things that I learned. But the one that always comes back to me, the one that always sticks with me, is um, to give a bit of context. After every day, I'd arrive to the hostel or wherever I was staying, or in my tent or my hammock or whatever, and I'd be like
Mm.
knackered. And sometimes I'll be soaking wet. Sometimes I'll be sunburned. I'll just be knackered. And so sometimes I'll just crash out on the bed. Or in fact, more accurately, usually I'd go and have a few beers, have a few cigs, and then go and crash out on the bed. Um, and the next day would always be impacted by the preparation that I did the day before. So what do I mean by that? If I charged all my gear, if I dried all my clothes, if I made sure that I'd washed my underwear so I had a fresh pair of underwear the next day would always be better. It would always be better if I'd looked at my maps and had a look at my route, because I'd wake up the next day, all my stuff's charged, I had my headphones ready to go, I had music, I had my map loaded, I had everything ready, and I could start my next day way better. And so the next day would always go better. But it's super important. This is the lesson I learned. If I did none of those things, it would still be okay. You know, it might not go as well, but it would still be okay. And that for me was an
Mm.
important lesson. It's like you can do all the prep, and I think that the prep will always, it's never going to harm you. It's always going to work.
Yeah.
But never let not doing the prep get in the way of you not doing the thing as well. For
I
me,
think that's true.
yeah, for me,
There's a sweet spot, isn't there? There's a sweet spot. Like, you have to be flexible and go with the flow, but also like don't just like chuck everything away without even thinking about it. Otherwise, you're sleeping in wet undies
Yeah.
in Zaragoza, or wherever you were
Probably
at the
not
time.
anywhere. No, I'm joking. So, okay, so then let's fast forward a little bit. So you get to Madrid, and in contrast, you have this. Is there a moment of clarity, or is it like a slow accumulation of pressure feeling off, or what changed when you moved to Madrid?
Mm. I think, like, at heart, it flips the baseline it flipped it for me, sorry, into like an adventure every day.
Yeah.
It's always a challenge, but like a good challenge, positive challenge, learning Spanish, having to speak with people,
Mm,
change of scene completely, like making new friends.
yeah.
I've still got some great friends in the UK, but it's incredibly releasing to just be like, bye to a lot of people,
Yeah.
and the important ones stay. That's beautiful. I'm
Yeah.
really looking forward to going back and seeing those people and making new friends in the UK, but like just completely changing your patterns by simply changing your environment. I think that was the biggest release of it. And there were definitely many low points here, but even the low point is a different low point than what it was before. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay, interesting. And then and from the first time you said you went on 2 trips earlier on, so No Sex Gay Weekend came from 2 trips to Torremolinos, you said?
Yeah, that's right.
Mhm.
In Ritual's gay hotel,
Okay, there we go.
which
And
is so trashy. It's so trash. It's trashy, but it can be kind of cute. It's like going on a package holiday with your parents, like to a 3-star hotel,
Mhm.
except that there's a nude pool at the top, and you're not with him. So,
Thankfully. And so talk to me about that first trip, and like you said, there was like a cute holiday romance, and then because this is basically the birth, right, of No Sex Gay Weekend?
well, it was the preceding moment to the birth of it, because that felt positive. Although I'm now completely anti holiday romances. For me personally, because I just think they're a waste of time.
Right.
Well, you can have a good time for a short time, but overall, I think what's currently this is all related to me having been here and then leaving everyone again.
Mm,
Like these sort of temporary relationships and friendships. I just sometimes, what's the point? Like
mhm.
sometimes, or at least finding a place where it can be like, this is what it is, and not trying to make it more or hope for more. But I met a Brazilian guy when I like came here, and then I was flying to Dublin to see him. Like, what is the point of this? Like, I
Yeah.
literally just moved to Madrid. Now, like, he doesn't even speak English or Spanish, and I'm flying to Dublin. I mean, it's desperate, desperate Dan. Unbelievable. So, I've been having some therapy, and so I'm not doing that again, please. Um, anyway, so yeah, I did go on that,
Yeah.
and yeah, connection is important. Feeling valuable and not feeling disposable for me is important. And so, I do have friends, but I do find myself again and again going traveling alone. And maybe it's just a function of me, but like I do find it more fun to be with people.
Mhm.
I've been alone a lot, and I'm very happy to travel alone. I think I've done it a lot. Mm, so it's not a problem, but I just don't think it's as fun.
Mhm.
And then, like, the next time I went,
And the next time you went was the following year, or was it?
yeah,
Okay.
because it was raining so much. I just went on like a little holiday before. It was, and by chance, and then it was raining so much in Madrid. Do you remember? And it was like months of it, and I was like, I'm sick of this.
Yeah.
And so I went down to Torremolinos, and um, it was just the opposite. It was just like it wasn't neutral even. It was like not having these connections. It was neutral and went the opposite way, where it's just easy as a gay guy, and I don't know if this is your podcast audience, but as a gay guy, it's really easy to make each other feel bad.
Mhm.
And it's like a mode that can be got into, because if you're not of interest, the criteria by which you assume somebody is of interest is how whether you want to have sex with them or not often, and in circumstances like that at least. And so if you don't, then it can be like quite just a feeling of rejection the entire time. There's a bar in Madrid called Guiri, which has a basement which smells differently bad every time you go down there. And people go there, it's like a cruising bar, and people go there, and because the aim is to have whatever with each other, if you don't want it, you actually have to actively reject people with your eyes or your physicality or whatever. So you go to a place to feel connection of some sort and invites rejection. What is the point of that? So yeah, that's like an atmosphere that can happen. And it's just like, it felt like there were some bars and, people just go around and they get by whoever. And that's all fine. I have zero problem with that if people want to do that. But when that is like the modus operandi of gay holidays, I don't think that's great. Lacking an alternative. So that's when I wrote down No Sex Gay Weekend, because I am treated disposably sometimes / often. And I also used to, and I hope less and less, I probably still do it, treat people disposably, because it's the way of things. And I think it's perpetuating. People talk about gay trauma growing up. I really do believe that is true to an extent. But nowadays, in places like Spain and the UK, where we're lucky to have many more rights than we used to, I really feel like we perpetuate trauma to each other as gay people. And the way we treat people again and again and again just opens it up. And it's much more actively painful than anything from the past, wherever it comes from. And so now with No Sex Gay Weekend, a big change for me personally from the project has been that I just do not flirt with people unless I actually fancy them. And I know that may sound odd, but as gays, I think a lot of the need for validation means that people just flirt with someone not because they are interested in them, because they want to be fancied in return. And I once went on a date with a guy who actually had a boyfriend, I found out. And he said, "I really want to kiss you." And I said, "Do you? Or do you just want me to say I will kiss you?" And he was like, "Yeah, I just want that one." So I said, "Okay, I would kiss you, but I'm not going to." He was like, "Okay."
It's interesting because you said at the start of that, you said you don't know if it's my podcast, but I think that this can also be applied to. It's not just about the gay scene. Maybe a lot of it does specifically apply to the gay scene, but I think a lot of it applies to just human connection in general. No, it's like people. The reason where Giddies came from in the first place as well was born from a similar place of, I would go out and I'd go out with my friends and we would be drinking on a terraza or something. And you go to a social environment just to not speak to anybody else. And fair enough, of course, sometimes you just want to chat to your friends, and that's totally fine. But for me at the time, I was going to the same terraza in Lavapiés. I tell this story all the time. And I was saying to my friends, I was like, guys, can we just do something else for once? Can we go and speak to some new people for once? And my mates, like, I love them so much. Like my mates from before the Giddy days, who are still my mates now. But they don't come to the Giddies events, and I don't hold that against them at all. It's not the people who they are. They want to kind of just be in their group. They're super happy, like not venturing out too far, not meeting new people and that sort of stuff. It's fine. But for me, I was like, why are we going out to these bars? Why are we going out? And why are we living in this like vibrant city of Madrid, where there's like young people everywhere and everybody's looking to, like, you think everybody's looking to meet new people, but you go to a bar and you go and speak to somebody new, and it is this dance of like rejection, or it's like you have to kind of almost kind of prove yourself, or as a guy approaching a girl, a lot of the time you're proving that you're not like a serial killer, or like you're not a weirdo, or you're not just trying to just trying to take them home or whatever. And there's a lot of that kind of. I think this is actually more of a European thing, actually, especially like European girls are particularly kind of like their guards are up against men, because that's the interesting thing about when you date other cultures. And this isn't a dating podcast, so it's funny that we got we're getting into this, but it's still really interesting because I think it does appeal to the human side of it. And this is something that I've learned from Guiri Mierda. I've learned that with other cultures that come to our events now, there are some cultures that seem to be generally more open to kind of talking and connection and that sort of stuff. And I think actually even when people come to something like Guiri Mierda, you would expect that they want to meet new people and they're going to be open, that sort of stuff. But even so, like people sometimes do need a little bit of help and assistance because you get some of those cultures that are stereotypically, at least initially from the outside, they look a bit more frosty, like Russians, Eastern Europeans, this sort of stuff.
Mm.
And oftentimes, when I first meet them, when I first meet like Russians or Eastern Europeans that come into our events, because I don't understand that culture very well, they come in and they're not. Sometimes they're smiley, but sometimes they're not. They're very stoic, very kind of stone faced. I'm like, hey guys, how's it going? Welcome, blah blah. Kind of get them in and that sort of stuff. I think, bloody hell, like, are they going to be? Do they want to meet people? And I think that, yeah, I don't know. I think my point is here that I think that when it comes to culturally, um, I don't even know the point that I'm making. To go back to what you were saying was
Some
yes,
people are more like apt to it, aren't they? It's just some cultures is more
yeah,
like friendly and doesn't have the distance. Sometimes I think there could be more distance. Sometimes. But
okay,
I go to other events
mm,
and I don't feel welcome, like at
mm,
times, and I feel closed off. And what I really try and do with No Sets Go Weekend and everything that I do, and I'm sure it's the same for you because I can tell you're a warm person, is that the host job is to make it warm and to set the tone, to allow it to happen, to give permission to others to feel like they can. I'm quite full, honestly, in mine. I like I want it to feel competent and that it's well run, but generally I want it to feel I want to be my warm self and I want to be like approachable. And um but the point is that I'll introduce other people. Like it costs me nothing. I'm in a unique position because generally people come because they know me from Instagram, so they want
yeah,
to talk to me
uh-huh,
and they come to my events, so they know me.
uh-huh,
Um, but say I'm not there one day, I still want it to be like the host job is to make those connections for people because it's extraordinary after like 10, 20 minutes. People are like doing it themselves. And
yeah,
I always do like a game where I move people around as well. And once they've done that once, they'll generally move people around again
uh-huh,
because they're allowed to. But it's so easy to silo yourself off in anything because it takes an extraordinary person of high confidence to just go up to someone these days. Um, and I don't think that was always true, but everyone's out of practice with it since COVID and beyond. And it was always difficult, but it's become really difficult now.
mhm,
And with social changes that have gone on, everything that you're saying, everyone's got a skepticism around
yeah,
the ulterior motives of why you're talking to me. Well,
yeah,
maybe I'm talking to you because like I just like say hi.
yeah.
Like I'm just saying hi.
Interested in human, like in some sort of human interaction.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so true. And so, what do you do? So digging into that further. So, how do you give people permission when somebody comes to a No Sex Gay Weekend event? When you say that you
Mm.
mingle them around a little bit,
Yeah.
what tricks do you have up your sleeve? Open, pull the rabbit out of the hat. I want to see. I want
Well,
to.
it's not always true. I don't always be able to do it. If I'm feeling stressed, then I'm not very good at this. But the most important thing for me is that I'm happy to see them when they come, when they arrive.
Yeah.
They must feel like they are welcome.
Mhm.
Happy that you're here. And I think I try and apply. Don't, look, sometimes I'm a cranky git, but really think that's like the key to everything. When you see someone, they should feel like they are welcome and you're happy to see them, and it just sets the tone. That's one person to start off with. And then I always do name tags
Mhm.
at events because it is no, if you don't have a name tag, then you're worried about people's names. And it's just not as an anxiety that is not necessary. I love them, even though it's whatever. And then I try and if people are coming, I try and like group them into like initial convos
Yeah.
and I let that happen. And then I do I always do like a closest to game, which is, and I just do one normally, which is like a quiz question that has a number answer. And I think they're so good because you can't be, well, you can be wrong, but you're going to have an answer. You can't just not know it.
Yeah.
And there's like your team name, just excuses. Everything's just an excuse to talk to each other and break the ice. Um,
So wait, but
And
the example is you do a quiz. So how does this? I'm just like thinking about the practicality because my
yeah,
mind as an event organizer now, I'm thinking, okay, so you're just there with a megaphone or shouting to people, and you're saying,
I love a microphone, but I don't always have one, even though I love
yeah, me too, I love them.
them. I love them. No, I go around and just say, depending on how many people there are, say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and get it. Then later get them into the groups,
Yeah,
and then I'll just get them a relevant question to whatever the event is. Like if
yeah,
it's in Madrid, it might be about Madrid, and
okay.
it will have a number answer, and they have to come up with a team name, and then I go around and say who's closest to,
In
and
what
then I might do another one.
grid, whatever,
Yeah,
that sort of thing.
exactly. Like, what's the oldest tree in Madrid? And well, like, where is it? Or how old is it? No, no, definitely not what is the oldest tree. Like, how old is the oldest tree?
Yeah,
So you just have a number, and it is just an excuse. I don't care about the answer. There's no prize.
yeah, yeah.
And then I might do it again to like mix people up again. But the point, it's like, what are the awkward moments of any social interaction and group? One is arriving, and one is
Cool.
being with someone you don't want to talk to
Mhm.
anymore.
Yeah,
And wanting to go and speak to other people and introducing yourself. Like if those three things can be solved, and not remembering someone's name. So those four things you can solve quite easily, I think.
yeah. So I agree with the name tag one. I think that yes, if that is good, but we do so many events, and especially for an event with 200 people, I just can't be buying that many name tags. It just gets to the point where I'm like, okay, it becomes crazy. For speed dating, for smaller events, for networking, yes, we'll always do the name tags. But for the big
Yeah.
events, I'm just happy with people saying, oh, sorry, what was your name again? I know what you mean. It is a moment of like a bit of awkwardness and a bit of anxiety that's easily made, but I guess it's more out of a laziness thing on my side of just not wanting to buy these tags and take them to every single event and big events.
I understand.
But yeah,
I
I
understand.
think that's the number one problem with events. The number one issue when you first is when you first arrive. When you first arrive, and I go to events now in Madrid that aren't my events because I want to experience what other people are doing. And for
Mm.
me, that is the number one moment where I feel awkward, and I'm okay with just going up to people and just saying hello, only because I do events all the time, so
You're used to it,
I
yeah.
know the dynamic. You know what I mean? So I know that it is okay. And
Mm.
even knowing that, I still feel awkward approaching a group that I don't know because there's just some sort of
Yeah.
human naturey thing inside you that when you approach a group, you assume that it's like them against you, and you assume that they all know each other, and that when
They
you
don't
go,
want to talk to you.
yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. And
Yeah.
so, what we try and do is we try and give it an icebreaker upon entry. And so now I've been using Lovable actually. So on my computer, we've been like making these little mini apps that people when they come into our events, they can write their name and they can write a little fact about themselves. And once we've got about 10 people in the event, it will start randomly shuffling and be like, oh, go and find the person who went to Paris last week and found the love of their life or whatever, you know?
That's
And
sense.
yeah, and it's like keeps it super, super dynamic. And it means that we don't have to do all this paper stuff because I've made like every single icebreaker you can imagine. I feel like on paper and printed it out and printed off hundreds of sheets and stuff. And I'm like, okay, I really would love a way to make this more scalable. And so
Yeah.
we've started doing it with the app style stuff as well. Because
Nice.
we also ended up having a problem at our big summer party last year. I wasn't there. I was actually we had a surf camp at the same time, so I wasn't at the summer party. But we had this problem where there were so many people there that the icebreaker kind of fell apart because there was too
Mm.
many people and everybody was like there were some people over there, some people over there, and it just I don't know we couldn't communicate it well to everybody at the same time on the phone on the megaphone. It just fell apart, and that was kind of the bad feedback that we got. People came because they heard that Easy Mierda, we do icebreakers and we find ways to mingle people. And although people
Mm.
still had a good time, and overwhelmingly it got good reviews, the one bit of feedback that we got like very common was well, the icebreakers were a bit like lackluster. They didn't really work. Nobody was doing them. So I was like, hey, this year for our spring
Mm.
party next weekend, this year we are definitely figuring out a way to solve that. We're figuring out a way with Lovable with the apps to make something that is more guided. So now we can still give our speech, but we're not going to give the speech on how to do the icebreaker. It's just going to be look at your phone, and the icebreaker will guide you through it. So basically, what happens is the first step is
Yeah.
go and find someone new and ask them a question. The second step is everybody's phone turns a certain color, the screen turns a certain color, and they have to go and find like if they're in blue 2. They have to go and find the other blue 2s, or like purple 3 or whatever. They have to go and find all the purple 3s. And then that's like how they group up the next time. We might mix that a couple of times. And the third time, they have a different challenge. They have to go and find one person. You got the photo of them. You have to go and find one person and assassinate them for this one, for the event next week.
That's funny. I love that. That's very good. And because what you don't want to add is confusion.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, understood. You're so tech savvy, Tom. I love it. I'm inspired by that. And I love how forward you are with all that. I'm going to try and do that as well. So thank you.
What? Like you could do it easily. It's super simple. This is what I mean. I'm a non-technical person, but this is why I love AI. And it's why I love tools like Lovable. Maybe Lovable could be a sponsor of this podcast, actually. So I love tools like Lovable because they've allowed me to. I've always had the ideas, but I've never been able to build them. I've been able to design them because, as I said before, I was a UX designer, so I was designing apps and websites before, but I could never bring them into fruition. But now,
would you prefer Lovable or Claude Code or both?
So I use them together to actually build it. I use Lovable, and I haven't even experimented with Claude Code. What I'll do is I'll do all the thinking with Claude. So with Claude, I'll have a project folder where I'll put all my ideas, and I'll say, look, this is what I want to build. Ask me all the questions that you need to ask me, and then we're going to give a mega prompt, and I'm going to put that. I don't want you to build it. I'm going to build that over in Lovable. So just give me the output prompt. And it's like, okay. And it might ask me 10 questions. Like, how do you see, so for our Golden Guiri network, for example, it's like, how do you see it working? Should it be swiping like a dating app, or should it be more of a directory so you can see everybody at once? I'm like, it should be a directory. I'm like, oh, but then that'll inspire me. I'm like, but not everybody should be visible. If they're Golden Guiris, they should get unlimited access. But if they're non-Golden Guiris, they should have a reduced access. And we should give upsells. You know what I mean? So, and I'll give it this master prompt. Then once all the questions are done and it's asked everything it wants to ask, it will give me a big, concise prompt, and I'll go over and put that into Lovable. And then that, from one prompt, a lot of the time, it will get me like 80% of the way there. Then it's a case of testing and being like, this doesn't seem clickable. This should be clickable. This doesn't work the way I imagined it. And it's just typing and I actually talk. I just use the voice dictation and just speak to it. And honestly, like it is, I love that.
That's it.
Yeah. You
make a web app. Are they web apps?
Yeah, they're web apps, exactly. Lovable
on your site.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So we have if you go on to guirimedia.com at the top, it says the network, and you can go and check it out there. So if you want to have a look afterwards.
So good. Yeah. Love it. I do need to do it. I do need to do it. And this, I know in your community builders, it's just something that I need to probably think about. I've been talking about it, Tom, and I've not done it. I want to go back to something in the group stuff.
Yeah.
Because we've talked a lot about like hosting and how that sets the tone. I do think that's really important. But one thing, going back to No Sex Gay Weekend and stuff, and I go to like gay or queer events and etc.
Yeah.
One thing that I do feel like I have changed is this is my responsibility as the attendee to not talk to people because of X reason. And in this case, it might be because I fancy them. And I just don't do that as much right now, because what you've been talking about, ulterior motives, is that people are defensive because it does exist.
Yeah.
And when you go over to someone because you are attracted to them, that's not wrong, but then they have to reject you is actually what's happening if you go over with that intention. And it is smellable. Like everyone knows, because we're animals.
Yeah.
And so my suggestion to anyone going to events is, and you want to meet new people, is that you should want to meet new people, not meet someone you fancy and try and hook up with them. Like there's just a difference in intention. Try and go and talk to the most unattractive but friendliest person. Go and talk to them, friendliest looking person, and ask them questions about themselves and try and get to know them. And if there is then something interesting, you can continue the conversation. And if there is not something interesting or there's not a connection, then go and talk to someone else. But really, like, I've met some really interesting people that I'm not attracted to at all. And so this might just be a me thing, but I would say at these events, you can put yourself out there by really questioning like why you want to go and talk to that person specifically, and maybe put yourself out of the comfort zone or whatever and talk to someone who you maybe wouldn't think you automatically would.
The people that get the most out of Guiris, and I've seen this after hundreds of events, are 100% the people that go there and they speak to people without any sort of motive, without any sort of discrimination. They just go in literally for a good time, and then because they want to connect with people, and they're not trying to make a beeline for the person they fancy. I mean, obviously, as animals as we are, like if that happens, it happens, and it's great, and it's like amazing. But
Yeah.
I'm thinking of all the golden giddies that have been in the community the longest. They are popular within the community, and they get the most out of it in return. Like if they, some of them have launched their own communities, some of them have their own projects, some of them do like have photography studios and this sort of stuff. And these people do amazingly within the community because they're just nice and they've always came for the same, like just to connect with whoever and whenever. And like all the little mini things that come out of Giddies now, like when someone's having a meal around their house, or the little mini groups that are formed out of it, all those people that kind of are in Giddies Mierda for those right reasons. And
Mm.
they want the genuine connection. They're always in those rooms. And even with the speed dating as well, when people come to our speed dating, oftentimes lo and behold, they don't meet the love of their life. But the people that always get the most out of it are the ones that come in, they're open minded. They're like, if I don't meet the love of my life, it's fine, but I'm just looking to meet some cool people. And then who knows, maybe the girl that's sitting next to you all night, you end up becoming like great mates. You know what I mean? This is
Yeah.
the nature of the beast. It's so true.
Mm.
There's a better way to approach these. It's not all on the host. Basically, it's also about how, as a consumer of events, how you can approach them to get the most out of them as well. It's true. We always
Agreed.
say that with kiddies too. We always say, like, we set the scene, we give the permission, we make it safe. But the person, the guest, has a responsibility as well. Like, you only can set the table. You can't uh, force feed them. You know what I mean? You can't teach them table manners. Maybe it's
You can't like enforce the outcome.
exactly.
Definitely.
For sure. Okay, cool. And I feel like we haven't really touched much on like the format of No Sex Gay Weekend, because we've touched kind of on the
Yes.
philosophy of it. So like this is the Builders podcast. I like to talk about how people build stuff and what it actually is, what the product is. So when you
Mm.
guys, I'm just conscious of the time as well because
Yeah.
we can push
We've
it.
been chatting, Tom. We've
Yeah,
just been chatting and
we've been
chatting.
waffling. But what is the product? So when somebody it's a let me explain. Maybe, in fact, no, I'm going to let you explain because I feel like I've been talking a lot. So when somebody signs up for a No Sex Day Weekend, what are
Mhm.
they signing up to? What are they getting? What does the experience look like? What are you providing?
So we do like three things at the moment. The main thing is weekends, which is city breaks. They run Saturday to Sunday afternoon with an optional Friday evening if you want to come and meet people, like a pre-meet, basically. And we basically just have a great time in the city. We explore it together. There are activities, there's meals, and it's a low pressure way for like just connecting with new people. And normally like 15 to 20 people come,
Mhm.
and they all book their own hotels and stuff. I try and keep it quite light touch, or they just already live there. And yeah, so we've done some in Bath, Bristol. There's one in Oxford. We've got one in Oxford and Brighton coming up as well. And then I did a residential recently in a manor house, which was amazing, but extremely hard work. So I need to think about doing that again. But that was so cool.
When you say
Um,
residential, how does that differ from like a weekend away?
like everyone was staying together in one massive house, and normally people don't stay together. What I've learned is that downtime and breaks are important as well,
Right.
on the city breaks for sure. And then we also do events, so like just drinks, and we also do speed dating and stuff. And so trying to get like, well, I don't know about the residentials in future, but I want to. I need to work it out. But free events, and then like cheapish events, and then the city breaks as well.
Mhm.
So trying to help people. It's quite a big investment of time and faith to do like a whole weekend away.
Mhm.
And people are anxious about it, which is completely understandable. So having events where they come to and they can see what it is like
Yeah.
is something that was, I think, important.
Yeah, interesting. And so for example, if on the weekends, if they book their own accommodation and that sort of stuff, and it's like when you go out for food, I assume that everyone just pays as they go. That sort
No,
of.
that's they used to, but now it's covered mostly
Okay. I was going to
on the
ask how
meals.
you justify the
Yeah.
price. So how much do they pay for one of these weekends, and then how do you justify your price? Because I know from our events as well, people want to see if they're booking a trip to skiing, for example. We do skiing for them. So they always want to see
Mm.
like, oh, what's actually included in the price? How do you guys? What do
Yeah.
you include?
Yeah. So I don't do the hotels, and I was thinking about it, but you take on a lot of liability in that way, and you actually become like the agent, and you are responsible. If the hotel burns down, you are responsible for your guest, and I just do not want. It's not. I'm just me.
Yeah.
Come on, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Um, and travel, I'm not doing that. You can book your own travel. That's fine. With the meals, so the price point is 250 for the weekend and an extra 50 for the Friday. That's what I'm testing now. It
Mhm.
was a bit lower, but I wasn't making any money out of it at all.
Yeah.
And it's a ton of work
Yeah.
basically
Honestly.
for me. Like it's just not worth it. I'm not doing it. I really want to meet people and I believe in the mission, but it's not worth my time to make no money out of it.
Yeah.
And so I just have to price it where um there's an opportunity for it to be profitable. Not massively, because like I covered, I think it's normally 2 dinners, there's like coffees, there's drinks, the activities are covered. So I want it to feel like you don't have to worry
Yeah.
about extra spend
Yeah.
on the weekend, really. Discretionary spend is up to you. But like, and I don't want people going around like paying for their meal. Like it's kind of awkward. And often what I do on the dinner, don't tell anyone, but like I'll say alcohol isn't like extra alcohol isn't included, but I'll just pay the bill. Like I just don't it doesn't really matter. And I can add extras like that when there's a bit more buffer.
Yeah.
So people don't worry about it.
Mhm.
But um, I'm still working out the price point because I don't know.
It's
I
funny
don't know.
because I think so. The building after speaking to a lot of different community builders now, building community is the one business model that people are like they apologize for making profit for. It's almost like people feel guilty for making profit, but it's so funny to me. It's like if you had a restaurant, like you understand that like everybody understands that a restaurant, like you go in there, you pay the money, and you get your food right. It's a service, and so what you're providing is a service as well. But because I guess
Mhm,
it's like building community, there's a more emotion tied into it and people
mm,
always, I spoke to so many people now, and they always have the same kind of mindset of like, ah, yeah, I'm not really sure how much to charge. I don't know because like obviously I do this for the love,
mm.
but look, I think it's totally fine, and it benefits your community if you make profit off it. If you're not profiting off your community, then the first thing that disappears, if your life gets stressful, the community is the first thing that kind of takes the back burner. You know what I mean? If it's not the thing that's
Yeah.
making you money, and if it doesn't generate money for you, it's just going to be deprioritized. The best thing, my personal philosophy is, the best thing you can do is have a community for the community is for your community to be profitable as well. It should be profitable because that means that ensures longevity in it.
Mm.
Which,
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, I want it to be a fair price point.
yeah,
I don't want it to be ridiculous.
of course.
Um, I want to provide value and I believe in the mission. But I
Yeah,
remember we did one and I paid for meals, but it was quite cheap. Um, and then I said, I'll pay for this and then just pay me back. I'll send you a link. And this one guy after just didn't do it. And he said, I didn't get out of it. Like I thought it was really bad. It cost like 80 like for the weekend. And then he wouldn't pay for his own meals, which he like agreed to.
so bad.
And that was just, I thought that was so insulting. I
Mm.
really hate that guy. And I saw him the other day and I waved at him because I think you should kill people with kindness. But like, how can you? I just think you can ask, if he asked me for a refund for the weekend, I would have given it to him or
Yeah.
a partial refund. But
Mhm.
the very fact that he wouldn't pay me back for stuff that he specifically said he would as food,
Yeah.
I just thought this says so much about you. And then I unsubscribed him from the mailing list and I blocked him from social media.
Wow, wow. But that's good as well, you know? Like I think there's people that we've also blocked from our events as well. And sometimes it's I mean, the one bit of bad fruit can spoil the whole basket, right? And I think that
Um,
it's okay to the whole thing about community as well, part of it is curation. Some of the best communities out there, they don't let everybody in for whatever if they're entrepreneurs communities, for example, they only let certain people in that fit whatever their category of success is. And there's girls communities as well. There's girls communities in Madrid. Most of you probably heard of them, but found her who also Laura, who's in the first cohort as well. It's like you actively select for your audience as well, and a part of that is also sometimes saying, actually, you're not a good fit, and you don't have the values, or you're not behaving in the right way. There's a girl, bit of like gossip. There's a girl that came to one of our Barcelona events, and she came in just attitude peculiar. She went and sat down on the table with a guy that she bought. I don't know if it was a boyfriend, not really sure. I asked as people were coming in, I was like, "Do you mind?" Because I was sitting on the table. I was like, "Do you mind if I start sending people over to your table and get you guys mingling?" They're like, "Oh no, we're not ready yet." And I was like, "Okay, that's okay." But the kind of the idea is like we're going to be mingling. So I thought to start off on that, like, no, we don't want to mingle, was a bit strange. But I was like, okay, maybe they need some time to warm up. That's totally fine. When I was giving the speech, I start giving the speech, and she's just like openly like talking and whispering in this guy's ear and laughing and all this sort of stuff. And I was like, "Excuse me," because I was on like a stage and she was right underneath. I was like, "Excuse me," and she didn't respond to me. And I was like, "Oi," and she kind of looks up. And I'm like, it's not. I was like, it's nice to when people are talking. It's nice to listen. You know, I'm trying to explain the rules to everybody of the night. I'm trying to welcome everybody. And she's like face like a slapped ass basically. And then later on in the night, so that carries on. Then later on in the night, she comes over to me and she goes, "Oh, I thought that was no." She tried to make nice with me or something. I was like, "I was a little bit rude what you did earlier on, by the way, speaking," because it felt very, very intentional that she was speaking over me. Everyone was quiet and she was making like a bit of a scene. I was like, "It was a little bit rude what you did earlier on, by the way." And she was like, "Well," she's like, "I've paid €15, so I should be able to do what I want." I'm like, "You paid €15 doesn't mean you get to do whatever you want." As if she's paid this like crazy amount of money, firstly, and secondly, like it's just it's basic etiquette. Like if somebody's talking, it's like we've came to this, we planned out this event. We're explaining the icebreaker. It's something that's designed to get our guests mingling, and for her to feel so entitled that she can just kind of like talk and laugh all over it and stuff. For me, I was like, "Ugh." So yeah, she got blocked off the list afterwards as well. And yeah, she won't be coming back.
Oh, it feels good.
Yeah, it feels very, very good. Okay, Chris, we went over by 5 minutes. I want to.
Okay, but people can visit the site at nosexgoweekend.com and they can follow us at nosexgoweekend. And my personal handle is Chris in Madrid, but that's changing.
Oh,
so
yeah. Well,
good luck. Good luck finding me.
You change it before we post this. This won't be posted for a few weeks now, because we're a few weeks ahead. But if you change it before, we'll include your link in the description regardless. I was going to give you the opportunity to plug all your stuff anyway, but it's good you did it anyway. But I'm kind of I want to end on like a note of looking forward and end on something kind of aspirational, I guess. So where does No Sex Gay Weekend go from here? Where does your personal brand go from here? Do you have it clearly defined what you want the next year to look like? You're a person who self-admittedly likes to plan. So what's in
I don't like to plan. I just think sometimes it's important to plan, and I'm saying that for failure of planning. So I would like to carry on with social media. And it's not going to be about Madrid, but I really hope that, well, actually, I started social media without caring about it. And actually, I did start with TikTok, and it was because no one I knew would see it. And actually, the whole thing doesn't really matter. But I do like that I have a following, and I would like it to grow. The lucky part is that I think a lot of my content, it's about my take on stuff and my life and my opinions and thoughts and stuff. And I think people find it entertaining. So I hope that is linked to me and not in I hope they like the Chris bit and or the Madrid bit, but not just the Madrid bit.
Sure.
So I want to carry on with that. Because it's let me do things like No Sex Gay Weekend. And I don't think I could have done it without it, basically. So I think it's valuable in that way. And as for No Sex Gay Weekend, I want to, where I am not just on holiday, basically in Spain, I want to, with more stability and consistency, I want to build that out. And my dream is that Grindr, which is a gay app for hooking up, still exists. But in any city, you could go to a place on a Tuesday, and whether it's called No Sex Gay Weekend or something else, that we really get back into in real life and help. I would love gay guys to feel good about themselves and make connections, make friends, meet their partner, and whatever. And then that is the main dream of it. And I also would like to get married. So I would like to meet my husband, maybe even out of the whole thing. And then once that's done, it's shut down.
Okay, amazing. That's a great note to finish things on, guys. You heard it from the man himself. Chris wants to get married. So if anybody wants to slide into his DMs, but no, in person better. So go find him, I guess, in the streets, walking around Madrid.
Don't find me in the street randomly, though. Come to an event, sign up and give your contact details. So please install.
Okay, Chris, thank you so much.
Thanks, Tom.
That was amazing. Cheers.